On the new Scoop City podcast, Kirk Cousins was interviewed, and it dovetails with something that we talked about yesterday at PFT about Michael Penix. When is he going to be number one on the depth chart? Now, I suspect that as soon as Tuesday, because they were off on Monday, we're going to see the second team reps go more and more to Michael Penix Jr. and less to Taylor Heineke. Remember, they started camp splitting the second team reps. And I was like, why are they doing that? Let's get the kid ready. Let's get him ready. And I wonder whether there are some forces there that are trying to keep it in check and let Kirk Cousins be the guy this year and get Michael Penix ready for next year or the year after. Because one of the things to keep an eye on, what does the owner want? The owners are much more involved than they'll ever admit. They don't want to be accused of meddling, but it's their team. At a certain level, meddle away. Jerry Jones made himself the GM when he bought the team. A lot of the other owners kind of hide behind the people that they've hired, and they let them know what they want to do. We've used this example time and again. You don't have to come out and say it. It's one of the privileges of being a billionaire. If the people who work for you are smart enough to understand what it is that you're saying, they'll act accordingly. And you never have to order the code red. You don't have to do it. They're smart enough to know this is what they need to do. So what kind of messages are being sent by Arthur Blank about Michael Penix Jr.? And when will Kirk Cousins make it to the bench? We delved into that yesterday at PFT. The Cousins comments to Scoop City focus on Minnesota. And Kevin Seifert of ESPN.com had an item a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now. I don't know. It's all blurring together for me. But he looked in depth at the Vikings quarterback odyssey over the past few years. And he said in this article, which seemed to be based upon off-the-record conversations with people all the way up to GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the plan was, because they were going into the draft picking 11th overall, and they're rarely in that kind of position, they're going to draft a quarterback, and they wanted to keep Kirk Cousins as the starter for this year and maybe beyond. That was the plan, as reported by ESPN.com. Cousins told Scoop City that Kevin O'Connell told him, and it was enough of a fuzziness to it. We're not planning on doing it. We're not planning on taking quarterback if you come back. And Cousins said himself, I'm not holding him to it. Well, he didn't stay, so there's nothing to hold him to. But they were probably taking the quarterback. They wanted to emerge from this draft with somebody who they can groom as a long-term answer. They haven't had a true franchise quarterback since Fran Tarkenton, and J.J. McCarthy at 10 overall is the highest they have ever taken a quarterback in their history. Tarkenton was a third-round draft pick. They used a first-round pick on Tommy Kramer late in round one. He became the replacement for Fran Tarkenton. They used a first-round pick on Christian Ponder. That didn't work out very well. They used a first-round pick on Dante Culpepper, 11th overall, and they used a first-round pick on who else? There was another first-round quarterback other than McCarthy. I'm blanking. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it was Kramer, Culpepper, Ponder, and then McCarthy. Either way, I think the Vikings would have liked to have found a way to keep Cousins for a year and let McCarthy develop. And that is kind of consistent with what we're seeing. I feel like Kevin McCarthy, I'm mixing my worlds here. Kevin O'Connell wants to keep J.J. McCarthy on the bench and let him develop and ride with Sam Darnold. And one of the things that was in the ESPN.com article that caught my attention, O'Connell was scarred by the manner in which Washington thrust Dwayne Haskins into the fray before he was ready. That's the danger. Because once you go with the young quarterback, it's hard to go back. And then you start messing with his head. And did he get overwhelmed? Do you become Zach Wilson? You're in the live fray and things are happening fast and you're making mistakes. You're seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold did in his time with the Jets. Maybe there's value in giving Darnold a shot, getting McCarthy ready. Let's see what happens this year. And by next year, McCarthy's good to go. Kind of like what happened with Patrick Mahomes. Although the difference is there's no equity that's been built up by Darnold. Alex Smith had done well The question was, were the Chiefs content to kind of just do well, or did they want to take it next level? And they definitely took it next level. So either way, I think if Cousins had stayed in Minnesota, and he said he didn't want to do a 1 year at a time contract, and he got more security from the Falcons. He definitely did. $90 million over 2 years, and there's another $10 million on the locks in 2026 next March. So he'll make $100 million at least over the next 3 years. The Vikings weren't going to do that. The Vikings were going to bring him back for 1 year, and then maybe another year, and maybe another year after that. But that would have meant that J.J. McCarthy wouldn't be ready for 3 years. And that translates to what's happening in Atlanta. How long do you want to keep a guy who's already 24 years old on the bench when you've sold out your season tickets for the first time in nearly 20 years? I mean, think about it. They had playoff appearances 5 or 6 times. They had a Super Bowl run. Matt Ryan was the MVP. In none of those years did they follow that success with selling out their season tickets. And now, after 6 straight seasons of not getting to the playoffs, they have. How much of that is Cousins? How much of that is Penix? And how loud are the fans going to get if Cousins is struggling at all and Penix is a completely open book and we have no idea what he's going to do? And at some point, those fans are going to want to see him on the field. And the owner is going to say, hey, look, the goal is to get this guy ready. Does he get ready standing there, or does he get ready out there playing? So it's something to keep an eye on. But the best news for Cousins, he's still making $100 million over the next 3 years. He was one of the cash flow kings of 2020 to 2023. He's still going to be doing pretty well over the next 3 years. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.